Abusia, a breaking news. You guys, breaking news. Okay, the air course will mine by Ntim Forjour. Na a man for more case. Ntim Forjour, ye Jano. And Obibia so Bekabia, yes, Ntim Forjour, Ntim Forjour. For the records, okay, the chief river or no, the name said, Nanin said, NIB currently on my boy in Ntim Forjour fear or Makochino. Yes, on my coach, so my rainy feed or match and the screen is winter, and that's on my boy rainy feed, as I say, in Ntim Forjour, ye cast this 5 minutes ago, and that's on in Ntim Forjour. I am the national security in question because speculation, information, and I reach out in Ntim Forjour NIB and IBNI, Edru Nakache, and baby, I watch I would do Juma, Ecofano, say Omra, because yet it is a Okase, or no, the only or appear before the NIB or the BNI for any interrogation, because if they want that they should approach him. Finally, a year BNI aborani and person so Makwa channel. I'm sure.
They go and claim that they are now going to examine those goods for the people to pay. And I'm saying that how much did it cost the state for operatives to move from headquarters to Aflao to escort vehicles that have escaped a tax point to Accra? Why didn't you take them back to Aflao to pay what they are supposed to pay?
And the goods were brought to the headquarters.
Yes.
And what happened to it?
Yes. When I checked, they said, oh, so I spoke to the director in charge of operation at customs. I forgot his name, some name. And I told him, look, I want to have a report on this matter. And same should be sent to the GRA boss, the Minister of Finance, so that we... Does it make sense?
And so what has happened to the goods? Because that is the most important
question. So it's for customs to come and sit here and explain.
Are the goods
the director of operation at customs?
Are the goods still at the custody of customs?
I ensure that we escorted the goods to custom headquarters where they have a park where they send these things. And I specifically had mentioned to the director of operation that we are not interested in the re-examination because a cover-up. We are interested in knowing the scandal behind it, the operational lapses behind it. How was it possible for a cargo, not one, not two, not three, loaded with goods to have escaped, or invaded tax from Aflao borders, okay? Escaped Dabala, only for Accra to deploy a team to go and escort the people all the way to Accra. The patrol teams could not have picked within that enclave. Then you drive these vehicles to Accra, and then after a few days, they will claim that they are doing re-examination. Re-examination for what?
But again, back to my question, as we speak, the goods in question are still in the custody of customs.
No, I don't think so.
They are not there.
I don't think so. Yes, I don't think so.
You don't think so doesn't mean that you don't know.
No, I know for a fact that. That's why I'm saying that. Let us bring the custom people. Look, we are a new government, and for all intents and purposes, President Mahama's government should be applauded for one thing. The way crime is being unraveled and dealt with is the only solution to this country's problem, where few are benefiting, more are working like bulls. They have had to sweat for some few crooks to sit down and cook deals that benefit them at the expense of the state. And I think that this government, 3-month-old government, is fighting what 8 years government have, covered up, tolerated, incentivized, and benefited.
Yes, we are yet to see any arrest, any prosecution. Nobody is before court to answer for any crime that you speak of.
I believe that, look, behind all of these conversations, there are changes that are happening in customs gradually. Recently, President Mahama had to change the customs.
The commissioner.
The commissioner, yes. And I believe that it was in the direction of trying to stabilize. In furtherance of this, at the back of the conversation growing concerns or growing upscaled interventions of national security. I'm just telling you that national security is not getting involved in most of these things for involvement's sake. They are crimes. They are crimes that have been established, institutionalized for a very long time, benefiting some individuals. And national security is confronting these crimes head on. That is the only reason why you and I are sitting here to discuss revenue leakages. You and I are sitting here to discuss missing containers at ECG. You and I are sitting here. Many crimes that national security is dealing, including, these fake dollars and fake gold bars are things that were happening. President Akufo-Addo's regime was not just a corrupt regime, but it was a network of gang who bleed this nation. Okay? They actually established systems that take what belongs to this nation, and President Mahama's young administration would have to carry the burden to fight all of this. Even before government...
So Mustafa, when, for example, are we going to see somebody put before court to answer for all the crimes that you speak of?
But you know that
because without prosecution, without holding somebody responsible, you only fall in the realm of allegations.
Yes, President Akufo-Addo have established
to move it forward.
The judiciary as a window of escape, and that cabal must be dismantled. Okay?
You don't have trust in the judiciary to do a just job.
I have said multiple times that if you attack me today, I won't go to court under the current setup of the judiciary, because the current Chief Justice is politically exposed. He cannot be seen to discharge or dispense justice to the people of Ghana, particularly when research upon research have shown that the people of Ghana are losing confidence in the judiciary. You believe that?
But there are people on the Supreme Court that were appointed by former president.
Why did we change?
And now President Mahama. Are you saying that all of them were appointed because they had relations with the NBC?
I have not caught President Akufo-Addo stealing money. But everybody believed that his regime was a corrupt regime, a scandalous regime, because there are individuals within who were corrupt. I believe that there are very good judges in this country, but one certainly is not the current Chief Justice, because she is politically exposed.
That is your opinion.
And I'm saying that
is your opinion.
And that cabal, which Nanadu have established as a window of escape for his appointees who believe to have done one wrong or the other, is not dismantled, this nation goes nowhere. And so, for example, this matter that Ntim Forjour is talking about, and he is all over the place ranting. Do you know Ntim Forjour was the Deputy Minister for Education? You will see the biggest scandal that will come out from the Minister of Education involving people who are on the payroll of government, and their names cannot be traced to existing schools. These individuals and these characters were the ones who supervised the Minister of Education 8 years, supervised this scandal, this thievery, and yet they are saying that, oh, government is, there have been cocaine transactions, there have been movement of money. Provide evidence. You cannot provide evidence, and he's all over the place talking. You see? So he will be arrested, because all attempts have been
talking about his arrest in the last few days.
Oh,
nothing has happened.
You see, President Mahama
walking free.
No, he's not walking free.
And dare you.
He would continue, because we are still giving him enough time to bring to the public what information he has. Okay, look, this is about cocaine. This has to do with the reputation of our country. It is not about President Mahama. It is not about Ntim Forjour. It's about all of us. Ntim Forjour says, I have evidence. People are expecting Ghana Airport and all of this to come and comment on. What are they going to say? Now, when you go to the airport company is just a management company. There are several other entities that manage issues around the airport, including civil aviation. All right? So you have gone, and before any flight lands in this country, it has the authorization of Ghana Civil Aviation Authority. Voluntarily lead to avert the dangers, or I am compelled to do so because I would have caused fear and panic. We have not left him, but I'm saying that the whole issue is to injure the reputation of this country and the government, to equalize, because in the history of Africa, President Akufo-Addo's regime is one of the most corrupt. Most of the appointees of President Akufo-Addo are what people I will term as, it's a syndicate of fraud. They have led a syndicate of fraud against this country.
And yet all of them are in their homes.
They are not in their home. But you are sitting here. When we read one,
none of them is behind bars.
That is why you
none of them is before a court.
No, it will not be fair.
None of them has been arrested.
The prosecutory.
Are you not just blowing hot air for nothing?
No. The prosecutory processes of this country does not say that when you arrest a suspect, go and put him to jail or go and put him to court. There is a need to investigate.
But even as you speak, you've not even done any arrest.
How do you know?
To ginger any
investigation
and prosecution.
No, currently, it's aversion and all of that happening. National security is doing firefighting to confront some of the situation. And you should be applauding.
You are now fishing for evidence.
You should be applauding national security because this government is 2 months, 2 months old. We've had a corrupt regime of 8 years.
But you started hammering on these things way before you came,
to government.
And 3 months now, you've not even arrested anybody. You are still talking as if you are in opposition.
How many months did it take President Akufo-Addo to establish his government? About 8 months, all right? How many months did it take President Mahama #1 to establish his government? About 1 year, even though we're in court. How many months did it take President Mills to establish government? About 6 months before he laid off NPP appointees. President Mahama, within 2 months, have set up 70% of his government. And you expect that he should have done what others could have. He should do what others could have done with 8 years, within 2.5 months. It's impossible. And I'm saying that we should all, instead of following MPP and their covered-up excuses with the likes of those in Parliament, Apenyo Markins and co., instead of following them, let's help national security. Let's give them the support. Come to the public space. Tell us what you have. They went to Governor of Bank of Ghana's house, okay, to avert a spy system that a governor had in his private residence on his public institution. MPP has problem with it. They found, money boxes, Bank of Ghana money boxes in his private home. You are not worried about it. Recently, we arrested, arrested fake currencies, Bank of Ghana money boxes were in that, and you are not connected.
They say that even if you go to Makula, you find some of these boxes there.
It's because
there's nothing strange about it.
It doesn't make sense. It's because they know that, look, Ghanaian mandate. They say, don't worry. Even if you don't construct roads, just arrest people who have stolen from this nation. Okay? That mandate is genuine, is germane to governance. That mandate is huge, and we will execute it. But you see, when you are doing so, the very people, are you not surprised that Apenyo Markins, of all his noise, okay, supervised, was the board chairman under which this huge scandal have hit this nation, disservice, loss of containers to this magnitude? Are you not surprised that Matthew Opoku Prempeh at the time was the Minister for Energy under whom all these ones happened? Are you not surprised that Dubik came to sit on air and tell you and I that he doesn't live in container houses? All these people will be arrested. They will be arrested.
All these people will be arrested.
Because you see, what national security is doing so far is to ensure that what is going is recovered. The containers that have moved out, some of them are recovered. Concurrently, there are other investigations that are going to determine culpability and involvement of individuals. Because ECG was not a bed. It was an institution that functions on the existence of individuals. And those individuals would have to be responsible for losses that have occurred at ECG. That is the build-up of the broad day thievery orchestrated by the group. They call it Trailer in Manila, involving Gabi, involving Kelegadepo.
I think that you are going into names that
the PDS.
We cannot independently verify.
I'll tell you.
So
I'll tell you this.
Yes, until there's evidence to prove that they were involved in some illegality. I think we should leave
these
the names
missing
out.
containers when ECG fallout from the PDS scandal happened. That is a generation of all this we are seeing. And so I'm saying that we are yet to begin. The police director general in charge of CID have just been appointed. The IGP have just been appointed. They are trying to make changes. Don't forget that they have a huge tax to transfer all the police commanders who are in the mining areas, who are supervising Galamsey today, we are transferring all of them so that new officers will go. President Mahama's government is fighting so much, okay, trying to ensure that the right things are done, because the ordinary Ghanaian...
Few things that I want us. I understand that the MPP Director of Operations, the MPP Director of Communication wants to react to some few things that you have said. When he is to finish investigation on Ben Peters?
Well, I believe that they will expedite the process. I want to believe that it's not a difficult matter to conclude. I'll leave that to the jurisdiction, respectfully to the police. But the most important thing is that this is a new regime. This is a new government. The government is committed to fighting all the scandals, all the self-styled, arranged, incentivized crimes that the past government have lived on. It is not an easy battle. When you fight crime, crime will fight you back. And one of the ways of crime fighting back is when the actors conglomerate themselves into a minority and decide that they want to distract the nation. So let us go and cook a cocaine scandal to try and injure the reputation of the government and the country.
Why wouldn't you support the call for a commission of inquiry into this? So that
why would you?
So that the facts will come out.
It's nonsensical.
There will be finality. There will be finality brought to this matter.
It doesn't make
instead
sense.
of your word against mine.
It doesn't. If I come here and I tell you that there's something wrong at the Jubilee House, you go and set up a commission of inquiry when there are institutions of state that will investigate. Thankfully, the president didn't just call one because it involves narcotics. The narcotic institution is led by a military general. The president says get involved. National security is led by a competent COP, Commissioner of Police, who is well vested in investigation. So it is not an ordinary person trained at Dankwa Institute. This is a reputable police officer leading national security. He says BNI is led by its previous director of investigation, vested in investigation matters, to lead this investigation. Why wouldn't you comply?
To open up to the public.
Why do they want an inquiry that will give them grounds to be making political comments into it? Let's confine ourselves. Whenever a crime occurs, it confines all of us within the context of our laws, within Act 29 and its ancillary laws. Why do they want it to become a
let me bring in Richard Anyagba, the Director of Communications with the MPP. He says he got some interventions to make. Richard
is very educated, and I know is a leveraged person academically. And we all know that when you make a complaint, you don't make that complaint to Akufo-Addo's house, President Akufo-Addo's house. You make it to state institutions who are vested and given the power to investigate. Much as you have a president of a country, the president says, I am giving the support to these institutions of state to investigate and come up with the facts. And that I'm pleading with the individual who is the lead informant to give information to help the investigation for us all as a nation to get to understand. Why is the MPP now commercializing the conversation? In the last 2 weeks, they have nothing doing. These people are in opposition, very lazy politicians. They don't have any responsibility. All they do is to rant and rant and rant on radio.
30 seconds more.
Okay? On one breath, it is a parliamentary oversight. It is now leaving the state institution to do their work. And why is Ntim Forjour not leading this investigation?
I guess
and we continue to feed on speculations. I guess it's very unintelligent on our part as a nation to reduce investigative process.
Okay, Mustafa, we have to leave it.
On trade, we noted that through trade and investment, this can serve as a bedrock of our economic relations, and more could be done to increase the low levels of trade between our two countries. In that regard, I noted that the African market has a population of over 1.3 billion people, and I extended an invitation to the business community in the Czech Republic to partner with their Ghanaian counterparts to take advantage of the opportunities provided by the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. At the multilateral level, I noted the long-standing and excellent tradition of cooperation between our two countries at various international fora, including the United Nations, and expressed the desire for such cooperation to continue. This includes voting on issues that are of concern to both of us, but also to support each other's candidates that are vying for international positions. In that regard, I called on Czech to support our candidature of Ambassador Mohamed Adam to the position of Secretary General of the United Nations Tourism Organization, and reciprocally for us to support Czech Republic for membership of the Security Council. I assured President Petro Pavel of my confidence in Ambassador Adams' ability to lead and cooperate with his colleagues to bring on board a strategic vision for the UN Tourism Organization. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, I went on to commend the government of the Czech Republic for supporting Ghana's healthcare sector through VAMED health projects and the construction of 12 40-bed capacity hospitals and 12 units of 2-bedroom semi-detached houses for hospital staff for the following beneficiary communities in Ghana: Jumapo, Kwabeng, Nkwetia, Achiase, Swami, Drobonso, Sabronum, Manson Kwanta, Edukrom, Mim, Chidie, and Pong Katamanso. I raised the issue of the 50 Bridges project, which has been stalled by the debt exchange program. I urged our two countries to explore ways of re-engineering the project to complete the 50 Bridges program and also implement the second phase of 100 bridges. Furthermore, I acknowledge the continuous support of the Czech government led program of medical cooperation, which is commonly known as, which is aimed at providing healthcare to vulnerable groups, as well as the exchange of medical expertise and knowledge transfer. On the situation in the Sahel and Western African sub-region as a whole, President Pavel was briefed on the security situation and the measures being taken at the level of ECOWAS and the AU to address the issue of terrorism, violent extremism, and the return of military rule in the sub-region, and to restore normalcy to the affected countries. I added that Ghana is resolute in the fight against transnational threats and the promotion of regional peace and security, and welcomed the support of the Czech Republic in that regard. On the issue of climate change, Ghana and Czech Republic acknowledge that climate change stands as one of the most formidable challenges of our time that require collective action. We share a deep concern for the environment and recognize the urgency to combat climate change and mitigate its adverse effects. We agree that our institutions of state, academia, and business community must collaborate closely, leveraging our collective expertise and resources to adopt innovative solutions, promote renewable energy, and implement climate-friendly policies. We also discussed cooperation by the Czech Republic and Ghana in responsible mining, land reclamation, and cleaning of polluted waters, and introducing new sustainable